Am I the asshole for not splitting my inheritance with my gay brother? Me and younger brother grew up in quite conservative family. We always knew my dad was a homophobe by some of the comments he makes and getting upset when he sees stuff about gay people on TV. So when my younger brother came out to us and my dad completely lost it. My dad kicked him out of the house and completely cut contact with him. I kept in contact with my brother during this period, but my dad was adamant not speak to him throughout the years and he didn't attend my brother's wedding. Couple of years after the wedding my dad passed away. In his inheritance he split half of it to me and donated the other half that's supposed to be my brother before he came out to a charity devoted for veterans. When my brother heard about the inheritance, he demanded that I split my half as he didn't get anything due to him being gay. I disagreed as it wasn't my fault that my dad is homophobe and donated his half of the inheritance. Am I the asshole for not splitting my inheritance? Well. You are the asshole. Let me be clear here, you absolutely are entitled to keep your full inheritance. It's yours. It was left to you. And you're allowed to do whatever you want with it. But that doesn't make the decision you've made nice or kind. Since remained close with your brother it would be very nice of you to give him some money. Your father was a serious asshole. And you know that, I hope. Legally, not the asshole, your dad is. Morally, you are the asshole, because this is the chance to make up for the damage your dad did, and continues to do beyond the grave. You could repair your family and are choosing not to. I don't think it's something he should demand, but it is indeed unjust emo. You're not standing up for your brother, you're not standing up to your dad's unfair treatment, and you're sealing it by profiting off your dad's money as your brother continues to be put aside entirely due to his sexuality. In a way, you're saying to him that this is fine, and this is fair, it's not your fault, and you're content standing by what your dad did not being bad enough to work against. It's your money and you have every right to it, but considering the context, I think you're contributing to him being unsupported by his family in a notable way. I feel like this is a repost. But if it's real, you are the asshole. You have the legal right to keep it, but you're validating and perpetuating your dad's homophobia. You are the asshole. It's because he is gay. That's an immoral reason to deny the inheritance. And you just perpetuate that same immorality. The admin of the estate should have tried to stop the charity donation too, so whoever the administrator was is also the asshole. You are the asshole, but this one is tough. Yes, you are following your father's wishes. But, your father's wishes, frankly, suck. If I were you, it wouldn't even be a question that half of my money would go to my brother. No question at all. This sucks. I'm going with not the asshole because it's my personal belief that no one is entitled to an inheritance. If you get left out, that sucks sad face, but you should move on. At the same time, I understand why your brother is upset. I would be too. I've gotta say that your dad is the asshole here, but it's not your fault and you shouldn't be required to fix it. Your brother is going to be upset with you, though, this might damage your relationship permanently. I'm sorry Op. You are the asshole. Your dad is dead. You should have done the right thing and give your brother his part of the inheritance to show that you didn't actually support your dad's homophobia. Do you think your dad would come and haunt you if you didn't give the money to the charity? By doing this, you're showing that your dad's homophobia against your brother was okay and that you had no problem with it. It doesn't matter that you kept in contact with your brother this whole time. This speaks to how you really felt. You couldn't be bothered to stand up against your dad in support of your brother even when your dad was dead and his opinion no longer mattered. Great job. The dad's the only full-fledged asshole here. You and your brother nah. Would it be kind of you to split your inheritance with him? Yes. Are you obligated to? No. How about finding some sort of compromise, like buying your brother something he really needs and can't currently afford, or giving him a smaller fraction of the money, or putting aside a certain amount for him for when he really needs it? Maybe you both can work something out where you wouldn't be asked to split your inheritance 50-50. Put it this way, which do you love more, your brother or the money? I won't render a judgment. It's your choice to make. But just know your brother WNB the asshole if he considered this bridge burned. I saw the title and knew you were the asshole, then read the post and you literally said this. Greater than it wasn't my fault that my dad is homophobe and donated his half of the inheritance. Wow. Just wow. It's not your fault your dad was homophobe, but it is your fault that you're benefiting from it. Not the asshole. The whole point of a last will and testament is to ensure the deceased's assets go to where they wished. Your father is an asshole for not accepting his other son's sexuality. I understand why your brother is upset, but he's not entitled to anything. The moral thing to do would be to split what you received with your brother, but I wouldn't consider it being an asshole if you didn't. YWBTA. But only on a superficial level. Being that if you are struggling terribly, the only other reason you could justify not splitting it with him is because you want it all for yourself. It's also an inheritance. It's not like you earned that money. And your father did a horrible thing. This is a tough one. Because like it technically is your half only. And shame on your father for even putting you and your brother in this position. Also, despite what your brother went through with your father, demanding you split the money is a really bratty thing to do. He very well could have approached that better. Like I said, this is a tough one. It could go in either direction. I say YWB the asshole if you only wanted to keep it all for selfish reasons, because I think there has been enough selfishness in your family dynamic. Other than that, the only person who is the real asshole is your father. AITA, can you live comfortably if you split the inheritance? Your poor brother. I mean, don't expect a relationship with him any further if you let him know you have that money. I guess no assholes here except your dad. Your dad is the real asshole, and I think you see that. Do you want to continue his legacy? Or do you want to do the morally right thing? You are the asshole. Not the asshole. You're not the asshole here, your father is. His will was set in stone, and sadly for your brother, he can't change that fact. I feel bad for your brother in this situation though, but he cannot demand what is rightfully yours. From a legal standpoint you're NTA, but from a moral standpoint you are. You're under no obligation to share your inheritance. It would be a nice thing to do, but no child is entitled to their parents' money. So not the asshole. Your dad, on the other hand, was in a hole. You are the asshole. You're using your father's bigotry for profit, which makes you no better than he was. You're no ally if you keep this money all to yourself. These situations are always some of the toughest on here. On one hand, it is your money. Your brother is not entitled to any of your money. Plus, giving him money would go against your father's final wishes. On the other hand, your brother was denied his share of the inheritance for completely bigoted reasons. You not making up for it could be seen as being complicit in your father's homophobia. Ultimately, I lean towards not the asshole because your father didn't give your brother's half of the inheritance to you. He donated it. It's a little unfair for your brother to demand part of your half. Why should you make less money than you would have had your brother not been disowned? However, I am sure your brother would really appreciate you splitting some of your money to help make things right. Your call op. You are the asshole and a homophobe by association. By not sharing your inheritance and stating that it's not your fault that your dad is a homophobe, you're explicitly benefiting from homophobia. What a better way to show your brother that you support him being gay than saying F you to your dad's views and sharing his legacy with his gay son? You are the asshole. You really should give your brother half the money. It's unfair he missed out because your dad was a homophobe. Such a nice brother, you are tears of joy. You are the asshole. As many others have pointed out, you aren't legally obligated to split your inheritance with your brother, but it is absolutely the right thing to do. Your father was wrong to disown your brother, and you are perpetuating that wrong decision when you could do something to make it right. If you choose to cut your brother out as well, you're no better than your father. You may not owe him anything in some legalistic sense, but that's not really what you're asking. Do whatever you want, but prepare to lose your brother forever if you decide to continue your father's legacy of prejudice. Technically not the asshole. But honestly, what kind of person, brother, are you? Do you love your brother? Do you expect to have any relationship with him at all after this? I sure hope you don't need a kidney someday. Not the asshole your dad was the asshole, but personally I think you could do something nice for your brother, like take him on a vacation or something to celebrate him and your bond. Well, aren't you the heterosexual knight in shining armor? Tears of joy, you are the asshole. You are the asshole. Your father is the biggest asshole, obviously. But you have the opportunity to try and be a good sibling, and to be supportive family. Don't miss that opportunity. Definitely you are the asshole. Your brother wasn't cut off for bad behavior, he was cut off because your father was extremely bigoted about something your brother could not help. Your dad did a really oppressive thing, and now you're continuing doing the oppressive thing, the rationale being that the oppressive person wanted it that way. In what sense would you not be an asshole here? You are the asshole. I've seen this same story every single week. Nah. You're of course not obligated to, but I would if I were you. You are the asshole. You had the chance to do the right thing, but didn't. While I don't condone homophobia, it isn't necessarily your obligation. He's literally demanding it from you. You are the asshole. You have the chance to right a wrong, and instead you're going to bunt that ball because you value the money above your brother. You are the asshole. Going to go against the grain here and say not the asshole. Does the situation suck? Absolutely. Should your dad have done that? No, absolutely not. However, all that said, why exactly is it your responsibility to make up for your dad's bad behavior by cutting what you get down to a quarter of the original full inheritance? If your dad had left it all to you, sure it'd be a to keep it all, but he didn't. Just because your dad is a homophobe doesn't mean you should have your share of the inheritance cut in half. Not the asshole, your dad was. Not the asshole. An inheritance is a gift, and you are not obligated to share that. That your dad is a bigoted and discriminatory to the point of disowning him is awful and the real injury here. That you stayed in touch all those years with your brother shows awareness of this, too. So, although you do not have to give him anything, perhaps the best way of addressing that wrong, at least partially, is to offer something. Your dad deserves to roll in his grave, and some of his money as restitution might give that little push would be worth the cost. Yeah, you are the asshole. Your brother is missing out because of who he loves and who he is. You're condoning your dad's homophobia by not sharing what money your dad did leave his children. You are the asshole. Yes, it is your inheritance and you're to do with, so you're in the right about that. But you're agreeing with you dad and refusing to give your brother some of your inheritance solely because he is gay. Technically not the asshole 100%, but morally you are the asshole to the 10th power. You are the asshole, although I don't think your brother should have demanded you share your inheritance with him, however he shouldn't have had to ask, you should have just done it. You are the asshole. Dad didn't leave you anything because he was a bigot, and I'm backing him up. You're profiting off your father's homophobia. Remember that as you spend your money, after you and your brother have fallen out of touch. You may have been kind to your brother, but this is an act of deep, entrenched, rejecting homophobia. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. You are the asshole all the way. I'd say no assholes here if you didn't split half of it and donate it just to trigger him off. You are the asshole. You're complicit. Legally sure, that inheritance is yours, but morally. You are the asshole so much. Your dad kicked your brother out, cut off contact and insisted that you also cut off contact. I hope you live in a place where your brother can contest the will since he was left nothing. How do you get on with your brother? Because if you had a functional relationship with him till now, you're not going to after this unless you split the money. I'm sorry your dad was homophobic. This was your opportunity to put things right. You are the asshole. It's not too late to reconsider. You are the asshole. You are perpetuating the homophobia.